A century of change. Barbados, 1924 to 2024. The island of Barbados, a small dot in the vast expanse of the Caribbean Sea, has witnessed a century of profound transformation. From 1924 to 2024, this island nation has undergone a dramatic metamorphosis, navigating the complexities of colonialism, achieving independence, and forging its own path in a rapidly changing world. This essay explores the key events and turning points that have shaped Barbados's destiny over these 100 years, highlighting its journey from a British colony to a sovereign republic. Seeds of discontent were sown early in the 20th century. This is the story of the road to 1937. The year 1924 marked a period of simmering discontent in Barbados, a small island nation grappling with significant challenges. The island's economy, heavily reliant on sugar production, was struggling to stay afloat. The First World War had disrupted trade routes and economic stability, and the global depression of the 1930s only exacerbated the situation further. The majority black population faced severe social and economic inequalities, living in conditions that were far from ideal. They endured poor living conditions with limited access to education and healthcare, and were subjected to discriminatory laws and practices that kept them marginalized. The colonial government, dominated by the white planter class, remained largely unresponsive to the plight of the working class, ignoring their growing frustrations. The sugar industry, the backbone of the Barbadian economy, was in a state of decline, unable to compete with other sugar-producing nations. Prices for sugar were falling steadily, and competition from other sugar-producing nations was increasing, putting immense pressure on local producers. This decline had a devastating impact on the lives of ordinary Barbadians, who found it increasingly difficult to sustain their livelihoods. Unemployment was rampant, and wages were low, leaving many families struggling to make ends meet. The cost of living was rising, making it increasingly difficult for families to afford basic necessities, further deepening their hardships. The gap between the wealthy elite and the impoverished masses widened, fueling resentment and social unrest that simmered just below the surface. The 1937 riots were a culmination of these simmering tensions, a boiling point reached after years of neglect and inequality. Triggered by the deportation of Clement Payne, a charismatic labor leader who advocated tirelessly for workers' rights, the riots exposed the deep-seated inequalities and injustices that plagued Barbadian society. The riots, though brutally suppressed by the colonial authorities, marked a significant turning point in Barbadian history, highlighting the urgent need for change. They galvanized the labor movement, ignited a nascent sense of national consciousness, and paved the way for significant political and social reforms in the decades that followed, setting the stage for a new era in Barbadian history. The People's Voice, Universal Suffrage and Political Awakening. The 1937 riots served as a wake-up call for the colonial government. They realized the need for political and social reforms to address the grievances of the marginalized population. One of the most significant reforms was the introduction of universal adult suffrage in 1951. This landmark decision granted all adult citizens of Barbados, regardless of race, class, or gender, the right to vote and participate in the political process. The introduction of universal suffrage had a profound impact on Barbadian society. It empowered the black majority, who had long been excluded from the political arena, to have a voice in shaping their own destiny. It led to the rise of new political parties and leaders who championed the aspirations of the newly enfranchised masses. The first general election, held under universal suffrage in 1951, saw the victory of the Barbados Labour Party, led by Grantley Adams, a staunch advocate for social justice and self-determination. The BLP's victory ushered in an era of social and political reform. The government implemented policies aimed at improving the lives of ordinary Barbadians. They invested in education, healthcare and housing, and introduced labor laws to protect workers' rights. The government also embarked on a program of economic diversification to reduce the island's dependence on sugar. Towards self-governance, internal strides and regional aspirations. The 1950s witnessed significant strides towards self-governance in Barbados. This decade was marked by a growing sense of national identity and a collective push towards greater autonomy from colonial rule. In 1954, the island achieved ministerial government, granting elected representatives greater control over internal affairs. This was a monumental shift as it allowed local leaders to make decisions that directly impacted the lives of Barbadians. This move was a significant step towards full internal self-government, allowing Barbadians to have a more direct say in the governance of their island. The increased political participation fostered a sense of empowerment among the populace. It marked a crucial transition from a system where the colonial administration held most of the power to one where elected representatives played a more prominent role. This shift was not just administrative, but also symbolic of the island's growing political maturity. However, this period also saw political fragmentation within Barbados. The newfound political freedom led to the emergence of diverse political ideologies and parties. The year 1955 saw the formation of the Democratic Labour Party, or DLP, splitting from the BLP over ideological differences. This split was indicative of the dynamic and evolving political landscape of the island. This split reflected the emerging diversity of political thought in Barbados as the island moved closer towards independence. The political discourse became richer and more varied, setting the stage for future debates and developments. The DLP, led by Errol Barrow, advocated for a more radical approach to social and economic change, challenging the BLP's more moderate stance. Barrow's vision for Barbados included significant reforms aimed at improving the lives of ordinary citizens. Grantley Adams, a pivotal figure in Barbados's political landscape, played a significant role in the short-lived West Indies Federation from 1958 to 1962. His leadership extended beyond Barbados, influencing regional politics. He served as the Federation's first and only Prime Minister. Adams' tenure highlighted the complexities and challenges of regional integration. The Federation, intended to unify British Caribbean territories under a single independent nation, ultimately collapsed due to internal divisions and conflicting national interests. The dream of a united Caribbean faced insurmountable obstacles. Despite its failure, the Federation represented a significant attempt at regional integration and highlighted the growing desire for self-determination across the Caribbean. It was a bold experiment that, although short-lived, left a lasting impact on the region's political consciousness. The birth of a nation, independence and international relations. This chapter delves into the pivotal moments that shaped Barbados's journey to becoming a sovereign state and its subsequent role in the international arena. The collapse of the West Indies Federation did not dampen Barbados's pursuit of self-determination. Instead, it fueled the island's resolve to carve out its own destiny, free from external control. In 1961, the island achieved full internal self-government, marking a decisive step towards complete independence. This milestone was a testament to the unwavering spirit and determination of the Barbadian people. This move granted Barbados greater autonomy in managing its internal affairs, paving the way for the final transition to full sovereignty. It allowed the island to implement policies and reforms that reflected the aspirations and needs of its citizens. It marked a significant moment in Barbados history, signifying the island's readiness to chart its own course on the world stage. The leaders of the time were instrumental in steering the nation towards this newfound independence. On November 30th, 1966, Barbados achieved its long-cherished dream of independence. The atmosphere was electric, with celebrations erupting across the island as the Barbadian flag was raised for the first time. The island became a sovereign nation within the Commonwealth of Nations, with Queen Elizabeth II as its head of state. This new status brought with it both opportunities and challenges as Barbados navigated its place in the global community. This historic event marked the culmination of centuries of struggle and sacrifice by the Barbadian people. It was a moment of immense pride and a testament to the resilience and fortitude of the nation. It ushered in a new era of self-determination, national pride, and the promise of a brighter future. The sense of unity and optimism was palpable as the island looked forward to building a prosperous and inclusive society. Following independence, Barbados wasted no time in establishing its presence on the global stage. The island's leaders were keen to forge diplomatic ties and participate in international organizations. The island joined the United Nations in 1967, affirming its commitment to international cooperation and multilateralism. This move was a clear indication of Barbados's intention to be an active and responsible member of the global community. This move reflected Barbados's desire to play an active role in global affairs and contribute to the shaping of a more just and equitable world order. The island's diplomats worked tirelessly to represent their nation's interests and advocate for peace and development. Barbados's foreign policy, characterized by pragmatism and a commitment to peace and development, earned the respect of the international community. The island's leaders were recognized for their diplomatic acumen and their dedication to fostering positive international relations.